We've talked about many different things on this channel whenever it comes to the debate between physical media as opposed to the digital media. We've talked about the iTunes debate, we've talked about downloading, various elements such as that, and it all started with a video from a couple of years ago, 5 reasons why the music industry is dying, why it's being killed essentially by some of these outside or different influences. Today it's a reaction video on a topic that kind of goes hand in hand with all of these things. It's almost like this is a continuing series unofficially. However, this is one where it has a bit of topicality, especially here in 2014, especially here in June, considering it's the midway point of 2014, which means that we can examine how the sales market and different things have been going in the music industry, and also analyze it comparatively to 2013. We're going to talk about streaming. The reason why this is important now is because streaming now has a very, very large share in the music environment. For the first time ever during the first half of this year, downloading in digital versions of songs via iTunes or, marketplaces such as that variety actually went down, but to the tune of about 13%. It's actually a pretty significant drop whenever you consider all of the momentum that digital copies of albums and different songs have actually had over the course of the past, 5 to 10 years, ever since their original inception. And this is something that whenever the iTunes store first opened up, it really exposed the world to a wealth of new opportunities and different thoughts. Now all the music that you wanted, you can easily purchase right from your computer as opposed to having to go to a physical record store. And plus, if you're a budding artist, you were able to get your, material on there and have your friends or, fans download it there and really expand your horizons using the web. It was something that also encouraged a lot of people to do podcasting and different things and have them available on that store. And the idea has just really spread from there. Streaming, however, took things to a brand new level. It offered a lot of the different wealth of music and different information as iTunes did. However, it offered it in a bit of a different way. Some of these were offered for free, and you were able to build your own playlists and essentially do the same thing that iTunes was able to do. The libraries were morphed, and there are radio stations now that were attuned to certain bands or certain genres, and now streaming services have a very, very large portion of the market to the tune of about 3 to 30 million, all depending on which numbers that you're actually willing to believe. And that's just of the subscribers. Now, if you're a subscriber to one of these services, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're using it every day of your life. Either that or doesn't necessarily mean that you've used it for any longer than 1 or 2 days and decided that it wasn't a good idea or not for you. However, streaming services have definitely taken a huge priority whenever it comes to the music consumer, or at least that's what it seems, and it's time for a bit of a reaction on that. It's to the point where CDs last year only had 50.1% of the market share, and it's still a industry that's definitely on the downturn. And to have digital and streaming services now have 49.9% of the share, it means that that whole entire frame shift is going to really shift over to the other side, where CDs are going to be less than 50% of the overall purchasing share, whereas streaming and the digital side is really going to take the leg up. This is the way in which a lot of these new artists are getting 14.8 million in sales. Those are all digital sales, and I'm using, I think, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis's Thrift Shop as a prime example with that number. Streaming services have a great place in the musical landscape. It's definitely something that could be a great thing. Downloading could have been a great thing. iTunes could have been a great thing. Every great idea is abused, is perhaps the main focus, the main issue here. Responsible music fans, responsible individuals that still believe in having that physical product, having that craft in your hand with all of the artwork and the different things available. Something that's not just, pictures on a computer that easily can be corrupted. Something where you hold it in your hand and you know that the only way in which this is going to be gone is if you yourself misplace it, lose it, borrow it out to somebody and have them never return it, give it to an ex and then break up with them. Either that or just, smash it with a hammer. It's still the way in which I love to go, but that's certainly not the way of the majority. At least that's certainly not what it seems. But once again, it was a great idea. Something that definitely had a tremendous backing to it, and something that definitely seems to be rooted in all of the best ideas. Think about it, whenever digital cable first became a big thing, what was one of the major influences in the higher channels, whether it be the 800s, the 900s, depending on your cable provider? This is something that was also offered on satellite television. There were about anywhere between 40 to 70 different music stations that essentially were like radio stations for different subgenres of music, different eras of music, different, musical landscapes for different countries. It definitely gave an international appeal. It definitely showed that there was no stone that was being left unturned. I learned of a lot of great metal bands based around the digital cable service metal station, which was able to help me build a foundation along with various other factors, such as magazines, such as, personal research, talking to individuals, and just going into music stores and sampling album after album. Now you can do that right there on the web. You can do that with a streaming service. Now you can sample all those things and just basically pick names out of a hat if you really wanted to and listen to whatever you want and give it a shot. Really, the root of the idea should be that you have the subscription service, you listen to all the stuff that you want to, you build the playlists that you want to, and essentially do all the things that you want to do there, but then you go out and give the CD a buy, you give the artist a little bit more support. You don't just, stand pat with the idea that, hey, this is free, this is all that I ever need. Kind of goes back to the whole singles culture that definitely is coming back thanks to the digital idea. The singles culture for a while was kind of in ruin. It was not something that was getting a lot of play, principally because there was no real, market for it. Singles as a whole were kind of phased out by the end of the 1990s, the first part of the 2000s. There's still a single here and there, and, obviously there's going to be a rare instance 45 that you're going to get from an artist. But now, here in the 2010s, it's something that's popping up a little bit more frequently because of the digital, ability. EPs are really coming back as opposed to full-length LPs. And, the ability for one song to be a smash for an artist without there ever being a follow-up or being an album in order to, kind of transition it to is certainly a big thing. Think of guys such as IAZ, a couple of years ago, 2008, 2009, maybe 2010, if I remember correctly, with a song such as Replay that blew the fuck up, and there was never an album. He didn't need it, and he got his money, and he went back to being producer extraordinaire, and there you have it. The end of the IAZ story, one song. But it was a catchy one. It was one that everybody loved. Streaming services definitely give you that option to listen to these different tracks to the limitations of their catalog. The catalog is definitely the biggest issue that I've encountered whenever I've talked with individuals about this, whenever I've done my own personal research, and have actually sampled some streaming services myself. I do this principally for the research purposes. I'm not a big fan of Spotify, even though I do have it installed on my computer. It's something that I only use every once in a very great while. I know that Pandora and different items such as that definitely give you the really cool option of streaming a radio station based around an artist that you really like and stuff like that. And it's kind of a nice little mix, and you can really compile and make your own to really hone into your different creative stances and your different creative abilities. However, it was just something that wasn't really for me. I really like to dictate myself what I wanted to play, basically get my entire catalog into one Winamp category and then just, hit random and see what the hell came up. I found that to be a lot more stimulating than really having a computer or a catalog of similar artists really dictate what I'm supposed to be listening to based around, one artist that I put in or something like that. But again, that's just a personal thing. It's definitely seeming like my way is a bit of a dying commodity, something that, is dying the way of the mixtape. Streaming services have a lot to offer individuals. However, I feel as though this is becoming a replacement idea where basically what you are able to locate and find on the streaming service is all the further that a lot of the exploration is really going to take some of these individuals. They find some of these artists based around the streaming service, and it definitely builds a nice, fashionable repertoire for them. I definitely have a lot of people that come in and say that they listen to something on Slacker Radio in their vehicle and wanted to see if it was on CD, but I'm sure a lot of other people don't do that. They just hear it on Slacker Radio, write it down, and opt to either download it or, hope it comes up on their streaming service. They find a way in which to consume it. Streaming services, a lot like this definitely give the consumer and give the end user a grand amount of opportunity to sample and find new music. And I feel that the abuse of this is certainly something that has been hurting the industry, but also at the same time has given them a reason to, really expand upon this service, making it a subscription-based service, something that you do have to pay for monthly. And that way there's something to really be given there. And also, I'm really not sure about how this works with the artists themselves, whether or not, they have to sign over individuals' rights and, they get a little something from it. I'm not sure how those economics work at all, so whether or not this actually helps the artist is beyond me. Maybe we're really approaching an age where the only way in which, you know, an artist is going to be able to really survive, as opposed to, you know, having a hot selling single on iTunes or something like that, is going to be from, you know, the live shows and the merchandise. Maybe it's no longer going to be the physical music that is actually the dictation point of whether or not, you know, somebody's popular. Maybe it's going to be, you know, having good songs but also really great t-shirt designs, or having good songs and having all the paraphernalia that somebody might want for their room, you know, for the truly obsessed fan, as opposed to, you know, having a whole catalog of CDs and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of streaming. I really am not. It's something that's really not for me, and I've tried it on various levels multiple times. It's just a platform that I've never really used all of that often and with that much frequency. Once again, I really am more of an individualistic listener, and perhaps some people may call me an elitist for that, who's not, you know, very happy with what he has. But you have to understand, I'm also the type of guy that'll go into a record store and find 3 or 4 albums just based off of the names of the songs or the cover art, or, you know, maybe what I'm able to recall from my past, or just things that I can kind of infer from what I see and pick the things up. You know, it's definitely not something that's based around total knowledge of what I'm holding. It's that, you know, brand new car feeling, that idea that I'm holding something that I'm not too sure about, that risk, that idea of risk, almost like taking a gamble. Because those gambles, whenever they pay off, man, those are ones that actually you remember a whole hell of a lot longer than stuff that you already know about. I don't know. I want to know what your feeling on the streaming services are. This is an industry that's certainly booming. It's one that's definitely taking the world by storm and has definitely brought the collective physical music media outlets such as record stores really kind of standing on their heels a little bit. It's come to their attention. You know, it's to the point where we are looking at different ways in which to, you know, try to survive, and it's looking like these digital formats, these digital ideas that we just talked about in the previous video about the potential abandonment of the physical media, really seems to be the way in which people seem to want to go. They like the convenience. They like the fact that it's right there. I guess I'm just not a fan of convenience. That sounds really bad. It sounds like I'm stupid. But I like going to stores. I like purchasing my stuff at stores. It's just been my way. I'm very stubborn and bullheaded whenever it comes to that. It's been the way that I've done things ever since the first records and CDs and cassettes that I ever got back in the 90s. And it's always been a tremendous experience. I don't know if the first time I ever walked into a music store, if I had this, like, world-defining experience or something like that, but I've just kept coming back. And now I work for one. And I want to have my own. With the return of vinyl, vinyl might actually be the physical media of choice here in a couple of years, with CDs seeming like their lifespan has kind of come to a conclusion. What would be odd about that would be the fact that we would have a lot of people streaming, but then we would have, you know, the true metal fan, or the true music fans, should I say, or the music fans that have a real flurry for the physical, going back to one of the earliest ways of listening to recorded music on vinyl record, on wax. That's kind of a really cool idea. And I think that'd be a great way in order to keep that physical aspect alive, while this whole, you know, digital thing kind of tapers itself out. Because, once again, like the video previous, I definitely feel like this is kind of just a tempered idea. This is something that has a shelf life. This is something where not everybody is going to sign on to this and immediately feel that it's the perfect thing for them 10, 20 years down the line. Music format is just like music itself. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. Things are consistently shifting in this department. And that comes with transitional technology. It comes with, you know, the transition of lifestyle. It comes with many transitions, whether it be socio-political, whether it be, you know, in the style of music and the lyricisms, or whether it be the technology that we use every single day. If you take a look at it, MySpace wasn't around forever. I mean, yeah, it's still there, but who the hell uses it? Facebook is the new thing. So maybe digital is the Facebook of the music industry, where CDs were MySpace. Terrible thought in my mind, but it may be the truth. But at one point, Facebook will fall. Facebook will no longer be the collective medium. Something else will come along. Just like something else will come along to replace digital, if it ends up being the king. I hope that day doesn't happen. I want you to really understand that I'm not giving up the fight. I'm not giving up belief. But this is instead something that's becoming kind of an inevitable reality. Something that the pure music fans, the purists as many people call them, or the elitists, or the hipsters, that need those vinyl records, those CDs, those cassettes, that want to have rooms full of this stuff. Something that we need to understand also. We need to understand that we may have to go out of our way in order to find some of these things in the future. But for right now, let's enjoy what we have. Let's enjoy that we can walk into a physical music store and buy anything that we want, really. Let's enjoy the fact that we have the ability to get things straight from the artist if we so desire on the internet, as opposed to just streaming it for nothing. Let's enjoy the fact that we can give these artists a thank you in some way. Because whenever I stream something, I don't feel like I'm giving an artist a thank you. Maybe I am through ad revenue. Maybe that's how they make the money. I don't know. But I also know that I can't go to every single show of every single artist that I listen to. It'd be nice, but I'm on a budget. And I'm sure a lot of you are too. That's the reason why you need the consumable. That's the reason why you need something that you can touch. It's the reason why you need something that you can actually purchase in order to really show your respect to these artists that you love so much. Streaming doesn't give me that feeling. It may for you. If it does, post in the comments below, because I'd like to understand how and understand why. Maybe there's something I'm missing. And if there is, then it's something where I'm willing to give it another shot, but I don't expect me to change that much. That bullheaded, stubborn side of me, it's been with me for as long as I can remember, and I don't foresee it going anywhere anytime soon. So what do you guys think about streaming? Is it a good idea that's kind of just been abused? Or is it an idea that just enhanced the ease of access for people to listen to all the music that they want to without giving a single dime to an artist? What do you think? If you're an artist, if you're a band that actually has your stuff available for streaming, maybe you can explain the economics to me, because that would be something that I would be very interested in hearing.